The massive alien ship appeared in Earth's orbit on a Tuesday morning like a silver needle against the black of space. It was 3 miles long and shaped like a teardrop, with no windows or visible weapons. The world's governments went into emergency sessions while military satellites tracked its slow, peaceful movement around the planet. Dr. Lisa Murphy was 40 miles off the coast of Massachusetts when her research boat's radio started making sounds no human had ever heard before. She was studying whale migration patterns with her partner, Dr. Ben Carter, when the strange clicks and whistles filled their small cabin. Ben reached for the radio controls, but before he could touch anything, the sounds stopped, and a calm voice spoke in perfect English. "Greetings, humans of the vessel below. This is Chief Xenobiologist Zelthara of the Kethvar Research Expedition. We mean no harm. We request permission to communicate." Lisa and Ben stared at each other in shock. Lisa was the first to find her voice. "This is Dr. Lisa Murphy of the Woods Hole Research Station. Are you really from another planet?" "Yes. We have traveled many light years to reach your world. We are scientists like you. We wish to study the life forms of your planet. May we speak in person?" Ben grabbed Lisa's arm. "Are you crazy? We don't know anything about them." But Lisa was already responding. "Yes, you can come down, but just a few of you and no weapons." A small craft separated from the giant ship and descended toward their boat. It was shaped like a drop of water and made no sound as it moved. The craft landed gently on the ocean surface next to their research vessel and floated like a bubble. A doorway opened in the side of the alien craft, and 3 figures stepped out onto what looked like solid water. Lisa had expected little green men, but these aliens were nothing like the movies. They were 7 feet tall and thin as pencils. Their skin was clear like glass, and she could see strange organs pulsing inside their bodies. Their heads were twice the size of human heads, with huge black eyes that took up half their faces. They wore simple white clothes that seemed to glow softly. The one in front spoke, and somehow the words came out in English, even though its mouth barely moved. "I am Zelthara. These are my research partners, Vexnol and Kivalin. We thank you for agreeing to meet with us." Lisa found herself staring. The alien's voice was musical, like wind chimes in a gentle breeze. "Why did you come to Earth?" Zelthara's large eyes seemed to shine with excitement. "Your planet is unique in all the galaxy. Our scans from space show creatures here that should not be able to exist. We have studied life on thousands of worlds, but nothing like what we see on Earth." "What do you mean?" Ben asked, still nervous but curious. The alien called Vexnol stepped forward and held up a small device that projected images in the air above their hands. The first image showed a great white shark. Its massive jaws opened to reveal rows of deadly teeth. "This creature," Vexnol said, "is larger and more dangerous than any predator on our home world. The bite force measurements we detected from orbit are impossible according to our understanding of biology." The next image showed a grizzly bear standing on its back legs. "This land predator weighs 800 pounds and can run faster than our fastest vehicles." More images followed. Lions, tigers, crocodiles, venomous snakes, giant squid. Each one made the alien's eyes grow wider with what looked like fear and wonder. "On our planet," Zelthara explained, "our largest predator is the size of what you call a house cat. Most worlds we have studied follow similar patterns. Small, careful predators that hunt in specific ways. But Earth," the alien paused and looked around at the ocean surrounding them. "Earth has created monsters," Lisa laughed, which made all 3 aliens step back in alarm. "I'm sorry," she said quickly. "I'm not laughing at you. It's just that we don't think of them as monsters. They're just animals. We've learned to live with them." "Live with them?" Kivalin spoke for the first time, its voice higher and more nervous than the others. "You coexist with creatures that could kill you instantly?" "Well, yes," Ben said. "I mean, we're careful around dangerous animals, but we study them, protect them, even swim with some of them." The 3 aliens looked at each other and made soft, chittering sounds that their translation devices didn't convert to English. "This is why we must study your world," Zelthara said. "We need to understand how such creatures evolved and how your species survived alongside them. We request permission to observe these life forms with your guidance. Lisa thought about it for a moment. This was the chance of a lifetime. First contact with aliens, and they wanted her help studying Earth's wildlife. I'll help you, she said, but I need to contact my research station and get permission from the government. Of course, Zelthara agreed. We will wait. But please, understand that our mission is urgent. My people are fascinated by your world, but also frightened. Some of our scientists believe that life forms like those on Earth should not be possible under universal physical laws. Ben frowned. What do you mean? The energy requirements, the biological processes, the sheer scale of destruction these creatures can cause, Vexnall explained. Our computer models suggest that such evolution should lead to extinction, not thriving ecosystems. But here we are, Lisa said, gesturing at the ocean around them where whales were singing in the distance and seabirds dove for fish. Yes, Zelthara said quietly. Here you are. And that terrifies and amazes us in equal measure. Within hours, Lisa had contacted the research station and government officials. After much discussion and many security checks, the aliens were given permission to conduct their studies with human guides. Lisa and Ben would be their primary contacts, along with other specialists who would be called in as needed. As the sun set that first day, the alien craft rose back into the sky to return to the mother ship. Zelthara's final words echoed in Lisa's mind as she watched them go. Tomorrow we begin to study your monsters. I only hope we are prepared for what we will learn. 3 weeks after first contact, the alien research team was ready to begin their study of Earth's creatures. The Kethvar had built a temporary base camp in the Amazon rainforest, their silver equipment looking strange among the green trees and muddy ground. Dr. Lisa Murphy and Dr. Ben Carter had been joined by 2 other scientists, Dr. Amy Rodriguez, who studied snakes and lizards, and Dr. Kevin Walsh, who worked with large mammals. The aliens moved through the jungle like nervous children jumping at every sound. Their clear skin made it easy to see their hearts beating fast whenever a bird called or a branch snapped. Zelthara carried a device that looked like a metal clipboard, recording everything they saw. Vexnall held a scanner that beeped constantly, as it detected life forms around them. Kivalen stayed in the middle of the group, eyes wide with fear and wonder. There, Amy pointed to a thick branch 20 feet above them. That's what we came to see. Coiled on the branch was a massive anaconda, at least 20 feet long and as thick as a man's waist. The snake's dark green body had yellow spots that helped it blend with the shadows. It was perfectly still, like a piece of the tree itself. The 3 aliens stopped walking and stared up at the snake. Their translation devices picked up the soft sounds they made to each other, converting them to whispered English words like impossible and too large, and how does it support its own weight? The green anaconda is one of the largest snakes in the world, Amy explained, keeping her voice calm and low. This one probably weighs about 400 pounds. It kills by wrapping around its prey and squeezing until the animal can't breathe. Vexnall's scanner was beeping so fast it sounded like an alarm. The muscle density readings are beyond our measurement scale, the alien whispered. The crushing force this creature could generate would destroy our strongest materials. It's just a snake, Kevin said with a smile. Wait until you see what we're going to show you next. They spent the morning cataloging dozens of creatures that left the aliens speechless. Poison dart frogs no bigger than a human thumb that carried enough toxin to kill 10 people. Jaguars with bite forces strong enough to crack turtle shells and crush bones. Barmy ants that moved in columns of millions, eating everything in their path. But it was the bullet ant that nearly caused Kivalen to faint. Amy had found one crawling on a log and carefully picked it up with tweezers to show the aliens. This little guy has the most painful sting in the insect world, she said casually. People who get stung say it feels like being shot, which is how it got its name. The pain lasts for about 24 hours. The ant was only an inch long, black and unremarkable looking. But the aliens' scanners detected venom compounds that made them step back in horror. Your species shares this environment with such creatures? Zelthara asked, voice shaking slightly. Sure, Ben said. You just have to be careful and know what you're doing. Amy's been stung by dozens of different things over the years. Haven't you, Amy? Amy nodded. Comes with the job. You build up tolerance after a while. The aliens made those chittering sounds again, and their devices showed that they were transmitting data back to their ship in orbit. From the Amazon, the group traveled to Africa. The HFY had never seen anything like the African savanna. Miles of grassland stretched to the horizon, broken by scattered trees and rocky outcrops. And everywhere, there were the sounds of life and death. Their first lion encounter happened at sunset. The research team was watching a herd of zebras when Kevin grabbed Lisa's arm and pointed to a cluster of rocks about 100 yards away. Pride of lions, he whispered. 5 females and a male, they're hunting. The aliens followed Kevin's pointing finger and saw the cats. Even at a distance, the lions looked massive and dangerous. The male's mane was dark and full, making his head look enormous. The females were spread out in a half circle, moving slowly toward the zebras. Observe their coordination, Zelthara whispered, recording everything. They communicate without sound, positioning themselves with military precision. The hunt was over in minutes. The lions moved like flowing water, fast and silent. The zebras scattered, but one was too slow. The aliens watched in fascination and horror as the predators brought down their prey with brutal efficiency. The bite force required to kill an animal that size, Vexenol calculated out loud, would crush our skulls like empty shells. And yet humans have lived alongside these creatures for thousands of years, Kevin pointed out. Some African tribes still share territory with lions and other big cats. Over the following days, they documented hyenas with jaws strong enough to crack elephant bones, leopards that could drag prey twice their weight up into trees, and crocodiles that had remained unchanged for millions of years because they were already perfect killing machines. But it was the ocean that truly broke the aliens' understanding of what life could become. Lisa took them out on a research vessel to observe great white sharks off the coast of South Africa. The first shark they encountered was 15 feet long and weighed over 2,000 pounds. When it breached the water chasing a seal, launching its massive body completely out of the ocean, Kiv Allen actually screamed. "How is this possible?" the young alien asked, voice high with panic. "Nothing that large should be able to move so fast or generate such power." "Oh, this is nothing," Lisa said cheerfully. "Wait until we see the orcas." The killer whales they found the next day were even more impressive. A pod of 6 orcas was hunting seals near a rocky island, using teamwork and intelligence that amazed even the human scientists. The aliens watched in stunned silence as the massive predators worked together to create waves that washed seals off the rocks and into the water. "They're playing," Ben observed. "Look how they toss the seal between them before eating it." "Playing?" Zelthara's voice was barely a whisper. "Creatures of such size and power engage in recreational activity during hunting?" "Orcas are incredibly intelligent," Lisa explained. "They have complex social structures, languages, and cultures that vary between different pods. They're basically the wolves of the sea." That night, back on the research vessel, the aliens held a long conference. With their ship in orbit, the humans could hear them making sounds their translators couldn't handle, rapid chittering and musical tones that went on for hours. Finally, Zelthara approached the human team. "We have shared our findings with the HFY Science Council. They are disturbed by what we have discovered." "Disturbed how?" Amy asked. "The creatures we have observed should not exist according to our understanding of biological limits, the energy requirements, the structural engineering, the processing, power needed for complex hunting behaviors at such scale. Our models say it is impossible." Kevin laughed. "Well, your models might need some updating." "That is what frightens us," Vexenol said quietly. "If our fundamental understanding of life is wrong, what else have we misunderstood about the universe?" The question hung in the air as the research vessel rocked gently on the waves, surrounded by an ocean full of impossible monsters that had somehow learned to thrive in perfect harmony. 2 months into their research, the alien team had documented over 300 of Earth's most dangerous predators. Their ship's computers were full of data about creatures that defied everything the Kethvar thought they knew about life. But they had only studied the big animals so far. Dr. Lisa Murphy suggested they take a break from the giants and look at some smaller ocean life. "We should visit the coral reefs off Australia," Lisa said as they sat in the research vessel's cabin. "There are thousands of species there, and most of them are much smaller than what you've been seeing." Zelthara looked tired. The alien's clear skin had taken on a pale, sickly color over the past weeks. "Perhaps that would be wise. The creatures we have observed so far are overwhelming. Something smaller might help us understand how your planet's life forms developed such extreme characteristics." Ben nodded. "The reef ecosystem is actually much more diverse than the open ocean. You'll see things you've never imagined." Vexenol managed a weak smile. "After seeing your sharks and whales, I think we are prepared for anything your reefs might contain." Kivalin, who had barely spoken since the orca encounter, just nodded silently. The research submarine Deep Explorer descended toward the Great Barrier Reef 3 days later. The aliens pressed their faces to the viewing windows as the coral formations came into view. Thousands of fish in every color imaginable swam between the coral branches. Sea turtles glided past like living rocks. Everything was bright and beautiful and peaceful. "This is more like what we expected," Zelthara said, sounding relieved. "These creatures are much more reasonably sized." "Wait until you see some of the smaller predators," Lisa said with a grin. "Ben, didn't you say you wanted to show them?" "A mantis shrimp?" Ben's eyes lit up. "Oh yes, you guys are going to love this. They're incredible little creatures." "Mantis shrimp?" Vexenol asked. "The name suggests another impossible predator." "Well, they're not actually shrimp," Ben explained as he piloted the submarine along the reef wall. "They're crustaceans, but they're in their own group, and they have some pretty amazing abilities." The submarine stopped near a rocky area full of holes and crevices. Ben pointed to a crack in the rocks where something colorful was moving. "There, see that flash of green and orange? That's a peacock mantis shrimp." The aliens leaned forward to look. What they saw was a creature about 6 inches long with a body like a flattened lobster. Its shell was bright green with orange and red stripes. It had large eyes on stalks and 2 thick front arms that ended in club-like structures. "It's quite beautiful," Zelthara said. "And harmless looking. Finally, a creature from your world that doesn't appear designed for maximum destruction." Lisa and Ben looked at each other and started laughing. "What is amusing?" Kivalin asked nervously. "Oh, you have no idea," Lisa said, wiping tears from her eyes. "Ben, tell them about the eyes first." Ben activated the submarine's cameras and zoomed in on the mantis shrimp's eyes. "Those eyes are probably the most complex visual organs in the animal kingdom. Humans have 3 types of color receptors in our eyes. Most animals have 2 or 3. This little guy has 16. 16? Vexenol's voice was puzzled. "What could it possibly need to see that requires 16 color receptors?" "It can see ultraviolet light, infrared light, and polarized light," Ben continued. "It can see colors that don't have names because no other creature on Earth can see them. It can detect the polarization patterns of light reflecting off objects, which lets it see things that are completely invisible to every other animal." The alien's scanning equipment started beeping as it analyzed the mantis shrimp's eyes. The readings made no sense. The complexity of the visual processing required was beyond anything in their databases. "That's impossible," Vexenol whispered. "The neural processing power required to handle that much visual information would require a brain the size of our heads." "And yet there it is," Amy said. "But that's not even the best part. Tell them about the punch, Ben." Ben grinned. "Those club-like arms can strike faster than a bullet. The acceleration is so intense that it creates cavitation bubbles in the water." "Cavitation bubbles?" Zelthara asked. "When something moves through water so fast that it literally tears the water apart," Lisa explained. "The bubbles collapse with the force of a small explosion and generate temperatures as hot as the surface of the sun." The aliens stared at her, in complete silence. "You're joking," Kivalin said finally. "Not at all," Ben said. He tapped on the submarine's hull to get the mantis shrimp's attention. The creature turned toward the sound and raised its club arms in a threatening pose. The alien's instruments went crazy. Alarms started beeping. Warning lights flashed. The reality perception filters that helped HFY minds process the universe around them began showing error messages. The energy readings are impossible, Vexenol said, voice shaking. Nothing that small can generate forces that intense. The physics doesn't work. Watch this, Ben said. He dropped a small crab near the mantis shrimp's hole. The mantis shrimp struck so fast that the alien's eyes couldn't follow the movement. There was a sharp crack like a gunshot. The crab exploded into pieces. Tiny bubbles formed and collapsed around the strike point, creating flashes of light. All three aliens screamed. Their instruments showed readings that made no sense. The force measurements were off the charts. The temperature spike from the collapsing bubbles registered as briefly hotter than their spaceship's fusion engines. The visual processing required to track a target moving that fast and strike with that precision should have been impossible for any organic brain. How? Zelthara's voice was barely a whisper. How can such a small creature do something our most advanced weapons cannot? Evolution, Lisa said simply. It needed to hunt fast-moving prey and crack open hard shells, so over millions of years, it developed the perfect hunting tool. But the energy requirements, Vexenol protested, the structural engineering needed to withstand those forces, the visual processing power, the thermal management, it's impossible. And yet, Ben said, watching the mantis shrimp return to its hole to eat the crab pieces, there it is. Kivalan was making soft, keening sounds. The young alien's clear skin had turned almost white. Our understanding of physics is wrong. Everything we know about what's possible is wrong. The mantis shrimp sat in its rocky crevice, casually demolishing pieces of crab with its impossible weapons, completely unaware that it had just shattered the worldview of an entire alien civilization. This is just one species, Amy said quietly. There are millions more on Earth with abilities that might seem just as impossible to you. The aliens looked at her with expressions of pure terror. We need to contact the homeworld immediately, Zelthara said. The Science Council must know that our fundamental understanding of the universe is incomplete. As the submarine rose toward the surface, the mantis shrimp continued its meal. Its 16-type color vision seeing a world of impossible beauty that no other creature could imagine. Its club arms ready to strike again with the power of contained starlight. The aliens sat in stunned silence, finally understanding that they had not come to study Earth's monsters. They had come to discover that they knew nothing about what life could truly achieve. The emergency transmission from the Infinite Curiosity reached the HFY homeworld 12 hours after the mantis shrimp encounter. Within minutes of receiving Zelthara's data package, the HFY High Science Council declared a Code 7, scientific crisis, something that had never happened in their recorded history. On Earth, the alien research team sat in their temporary base camp, watching their communication equipment flash with urgent messages from their home planet. Zelthara's clear skin had turned an unhealthy gray color. Vexenol kept running the same calculations over and over, hoping the numbers would somehow make sense. Kivalan had not spoken since they returned from the reef. Are you okay? Lisa asked, genuinely worried about the aliens. You all look sick. We are experiencing what you might call an existential crisis, Zelthara replied slowly. The mantis shrimp has forced us to question everything we thought we knew about the universe. Ben frowned. It's just one animal. Earth has millions of species. Why is this one so upsetting? Because it proves that our science is fundamentally wrong, Vexenol said, looking up from his calculations. For millions of years, we have built our understanding of physics on the idea that there are limits to what organic life can achieve. The mantis shrimp breaks those limits. Amy sat down next to the aliens, trying to understand their distress. What exactly is so impossible about it? Zelthara activated a holographic display that showed complex equations and diagrams. The energy required for those strikes should tear the creature apart. The visual processing power needed to coordinate. 16 types of color receptors should require a brain larger than our entire bodies. The thermal management needed to survive creating temperatures hotter than stars should be impossible for organic tissue. And yet it exists. Kevin said simply. Yes. Kivalen spoke for the first time in hours, voice barely above a whisper. It exists, which means we understand nothing. The communication device chimed with another urgent message from the Kethvar homeworld. Zelthara read it and made a sound like wind through broken glass. What is it? Lisa asked. The Science Council is sending our most advanced research fleet to Earth. They want to study the mantis shrimp and verify our findings. They cannot believe that such a creature is real. Over the next few days, the humans tried to help the aliens understand that the mantis shrimp was not unique in its seemingly impossible abilities, but every example they gave only made things worse. Look at this, Amy said, showing them a photo of a tiny blue octopus. This is a blue-ringed octopus. It's only 6 inches long, but its bite contains enough venom to kill 26 adult humans in minutes. The aliens' instruments detected neurotoxins so complex and deadly that their medical computers crashed trying to analyze them. How does such a small creature produce such lethal compounds? Vexenol asked weakly. Evolution, Amy said. It needed to defend itself and catch prey, so it developed the perfect weapon. Lisa showed them pictures of tardigrades under a microscope. These are water bears. They're microscopic, but they can survive in space, withstand radiation that would kill any other known life form, and live without water for decades. Impossible, Zelthara breathed. Nothing can survive in the vacuum of space. These guys can, Ben said cheerfully. They've been sent to space stations for experiments. They just go into a kind of suspended animation and wake up when conditions improve. Kevin pulled up a video of electric eels. This fish can generate up to 600 volts of electricity. It's basically a living battery that can stun or kill other fish. The aliens watched in horror as the eel used its electrical discharge to hunt. Their energy sensors showed power output that should have been impossible for a biological organism. Your planet is full of creatures that violate natural laws, Kivalen said, voice rising with panic. How do you live with this? How do you sleep at night knowing you share a world with beings that shouldn't exist? The human scientists looked at each other in confusion. We don't really think about it, Lisa said. They're just animals doing what animals do. They evolved to fill specific niches in their environments. Just animals? Vexenol stood up so fast he knocked over his chair. Just animals? That mantis shrimp can see colors that don't exist and punch with the force of a bullet. That octopus carries enough poison to wipe out a small city. Those microscopic creatures can survive in space. These are not just animals. They are violations of everything we thought possible. Amy tried to calm him down. Look, I understand this is hard to accept, but evolution is a powerful force. Given enough time and the right pressures, life finds amazing ways to survive and thrive. Amazing, Zelthara laughed, but it sounded more like crying. These creatures have abilities that our most advanced technology cannot replicate. We have traveled between stars, and yet a tiny shrimp on your world has capabilities we cannot even comprehend. The communication device chimed again. This time, the message made all 3 aliens go completely silent. What is it now? Ben asked. The research fleet has arrived in your solar system, Zelthara said quietly. 50 of our best scientists and most advanced ships. They have come to study what they are calling the impossible world. That seems like overkill for some marine biology, Kevin commented. You don't understand, Vexenol said. This is not about marine biology anymore. This is about the nature of reality itself. If creatures like the mantis shrimp can exist, then our understanding of physics is wrong. If our physics is wrong, then our technology, our medicine, our entire civilization is built on false foundations. Lisa was beginning to understand the scope of the aliens' crisis. You're saying that finding life forms you can't explain is threatening your entire worldview? Yes, Kivalen said simply. We came here expecting to study interesting but explainable creatures. Instead, we found proof that the universe is far stranger and more wonderful than we ever imagined. And that terrifies us. Amy looked thoughtful. Maybe that's not such a bad thing. Maybe learning that there's more to discover is exciting, not scary. For your species, perhaps, Zelthara said. But we have built our entire society on the belief that we understand the fundamental rules of existence. Learning that we are wrong about everything is devastating. The humans sat with the aliens in silence as the sun set over their camp. Somewhere in the darkness around them, impossible creatures continued their ancient routines, unaware that their mere existence had caused a crisis that would reshape an entire alien civilization's understanding of what life could achieve. Above them, 50 alien research ships entered Earth's orbit, their crews preparing to study a world where tiny shrimp could shatter the laws of physics and microscopic animals could survive in the void of space. The real discoveries were just beginning. The HFY research fleet filled Earth's orbit like a constellation of silver stars. 50 ships, each carrying the most brilliant scientists their civilization had ever produced, all focused on one question: how could Earth's creatures exist when they violated every known law of physics and biology? But as the weeks passed and more data flowed in, the alien scientists began to notice something even more disturbing than the impossible animals. They began to study the species that lived alongside these monsters. Zelthera sat in the expanded research camp, surrounded by holographic displays showing data about humans. The information made no sense. Lisa, Ben, Amy, and Kevin sat across from the three original researchers, unaware that they had become the subjects of intense scientific scrutiny. "We need to ask you some questions about your species," Zelthera said carefully. "Sure," Lisa replied. "What do you want to know?" "How long have humans existed on this planet?" Ben thought for a moment. "Modern humans have been around for about 300,000 years. Our ancestors have been here much longer. And in that time, you have shared the planet with creatures like the ones we have observed?" "Of course," Amy said. "Longer, actually. Most of the dangerous animals were here long before we evolved." Vexenol leaned forward. "How did your species survive? The predators we have studied should have eliminated any intelligent life long before it could develop technology." Kevin laughed. "Well, we're pretty good at staying alive. Humans are persistence hunters." "What does that mean?" Kivalan asked. "We run prey to death," Kevin explained casually. "Humans can run longer distances than almost any other animal on Earth. We would chase animals like deer or antelope for hours or even days until they collapsed from exhaustion." The aliens stared at him in horror. "You hunted by pursuing prey until it died of fatigue?" Zelthera's voice was barely a whisper. "Sure," Ben said. "Humans are built for endurance. We can regulate our body temperature by sweating. Our legs are designed for efficient running, and our brains can track prey over long distances. We're basically living pursuit predators. The aliens' instruments were recording everything, and the readings were sending shockwaves through the research fleet above." "Show them the other stuff," Amy suggested with a grin. Lisa pulled out her phone and showed the aliens pictures from her vacation. "This is me swimming with whale sharks. And here I am petting a tiger at a conservation center. Oh, and this one is from when I went skydiving." The aliens looked at the images with growing alarm. Each picture showed Lisa casually interacting with creatures or situations that should have killed her instantly. "You voluntarily put yourself in proximity to these dangerous creatures?" Vexenol asked. "It's fun," Lisa said simply. "Humans like adventure and new experiences." Ben showed them pictures from his own collection. "Here's me rock climbing in Colorado. This is from when I went bungee jumping. And this is me camping in grizzly bear territory." "Bear territory?" Kivalan's voice cracked. "You willingly entered the habitat of those massive predators?" "Well, yeah. You just have to be smart about it. Hang your food properly, make noise so you don't surprise them, carry bear spray. Basic precautions." Amy joined in. "I've been bitten by venomous snakes dozens of times in my career. You build up immunity after a while, and Kevin once got charged by a rhino and lived to tell about it." Kevin nodded. 5,000-pound animal running at 30 miles per hour. I had to dive behind a tree. Got some great footage, though." The aliens were silent for a long moment. Then Zelthara asked the question that would change everything. "What do humans do for recreation?" The four scientists looked at each other and started laughing. "Oh, you really want to know?" Lisa asked. "We race cars at 200 miles per hour. We jump out of airplanes. We climb the highest mountains on the planet. We dive to the deepest parts of the ocean. We surf waves that could crush us. We box and wrestle each other for sport. We keep wolves as pets, Ben added. We call them dogs now, but they're basically domesticated wolves that live in our homes and sleep in our beds. We eat food so spicy it causes physical pain, Amy continued. We consider it enjoyable. We voluntarily subject ourselves to horror movies designed to frighten us, Kevin finished. And we pay money for the experience. The aliens sat in stunned silence as the implications sank in. You are saying, Zelthara said slowly, that your species seeks out dangerous and frightening experiences for entertainment? Pretty much, Lisa said cheerfully. Vexnall was running calculations on his device. The psychological profile we are developing suggests that humans are not just another species that survived alongside Earth's predators. You are the apex predator that made all the others possible. What do you mean? Ben asked. Your species didn't just survive in an environment full of deadly creatures, Kivalen explained, his voice shaking. You thrived. You turned survival into entertainment. You domesticated the predators. You made pets out of wolves and companions out of creatures that could kill you. Amy frowned. That seems like a pretty normal thing to do. Normal? Zelthara stood up so fast his chair fell over. Normal? You are persistence predators who hunt by running prey to death, who keep deadly creatures as pets, who seek out danger for fun, who have turned survival into a game. You are not normal. You are the most terrifying predator we have ever encountered. The humans looked at each other in confusion. We're not that scary, Lisa said. You swim with creatures that could swallow you whole, Vexnall pointed out. You jump out of flying vehicles for entertainment, Kivalen added. You voluntarily consume toxins that cause pain, Zelthara continued. And you share your homes with domesticated wolves, Vexnall finished. Kevin shrugged. When you put it like that, I guess we are pretty weird. The communication device chimed with an urgent message from the research fleet. Zelthara read it and went completely still. What is it? Amy asked. The Science Council has made a decision, Zelthara said quietly. They are requesting permission to establish a permanent research station on Earth. Why? Ben asked. Because we have discovered that we know nothing about life, the universe, or what is possible. Your planet has creatures that violate physical laws. Your species has turned survival into entertainment. We have come to the conclusion that Earth represents an entirely new branch of evolution that we must study if we are to understand anything about existence. Lisa smiled. So you want to stay and learn? We came to study Earth's monsters, Zelthara said, looking at each of the humans in turn. We found creatures that shatter our understanding of physics, but the greatest discovery of all was realizing that the most impossible monster on this planet is the species that looks at a tiny shrimp that punches with the power of stars and simply calls it interesting. The aliens requested permission to remain on Earth as permanent students of the impossible. Their civilization had learned that the universe was far stranger and more wonderful than they had ever imagined, and humanity had much to teach about what it truly meant to be alive in an infinite cosmos. Above them, the research fleet settled into permanent orbit, ready to spend lifetimes studying the world where impossible was just another Tuesday, and the most dangerous predators made pets out of wolves and considered pain-inducing food a delicacy. The humans welcomed their new alien friends, completely unaware that they had just redefined what it meant to be alive in the universe.